Yeah, sorry, quick question. So you're still doing the FBCAB overview, Cynthia?
Yeah, it'll be super short. Yeah.
Just a quick introduction. All right, I'm going to open up that waiting room. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're just getting started. We're going to take a few minutes to let some folks record in the waiting room. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We are just going to take another few moments. See how we're doing. Thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your evening. This is not our usual programming time, but we like to make things accessible to everybody, even those with daytime obligations. It looks like things are slowing down, so I think we will get started. Welcome everyone to our virtual training this evening, Raise Your Voice, Effective Advocacy and Engagement Through Social Media. This is part of the Food Council's continuing virtual training series, and we are so happy to see you all this evening. I am Elizabeth Tuin. I'm a Food Security Outreach Vista here at the Food Council, and I am joined today by three of my colleagues, Beza Tenna, who supports our Food Economy Working Group, as well as communications for the Food Council. We have Jana Washington, who works with our Environmental Impact Working Group, as well as the Policy Committee and the Racial Equity Committee. And we have Cynthia Cuestas, who is a fellow Food Security Vista, and she works with our Food Security Community Advisory Board and doing food access initiatives. So just a few brief housekeeping notes before we get into the presentation tonight. We are recording this training. This is so those who could not be with us this evening at our unusual time will be able to view the recording later. We are going to follow up this training with an email that contains a link to the recording, as well as some of the reference material that we are going to rely on this evening, and our presentation slides, as well as any questions that we were not able to answer this evening. So be on the lookout for that, and we invite you to share that widely. And what else? Oh, we encourage you to share your name and your organization if you wish in the chat box. Introduce yourself. We have a lot to get through tonight, but we do want this to be as interactive as possible. We are getting into some nuts and bolts of some tools to help with our communication on social media. So I suspect we might have varying levels of familiarity with some of these platforms, and we really encourage any and all questions. None are too dumb. We want you to walk away really understanding how to do this. So please feel free to pepper us with questions in the chat box. And we also wanted to note, just before we get started, I know that many of the folks who signed up for this were following up on the advocacy series that we did this October, Transforming Food Systems Through Advocacy. This was a two-part event that gave a great overview from elected officials and from community leaders on really how to engage in advocacy on a strategic level. So tonight we're going to get really into the nuts and bolts. And this program is really designed to give you the tools to engage in advocacy on a grassroots level. And before we got to that, we just wanted to take a moment to highlight one of the advocacy initiatives that we're really proud of here at the Food Council. This program has been part of their onboarding in the past, and that is the Food Security Community Advisory Board. I want to introduce Cynthia Cuestas, who works closely with the FSCAB, to share a little bit about this program and about this group of individuals and what they do to advocate at a local level. So take it away, Cynthia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cynthia, and I do see Rona Rice, who is on the Food Security Advisory Board. So say hi, Rona. And I just want to give them a little shout out. So the FACAB is comprised of county residents who have lived or are currently experiencing food insecurity. And the FACAB, they're very crucial to helping the Food Council and our partners implement strategies and policies that improve food security in Montgomery County. And all the members have their own advocacy plans, which they work on and they implement throughout the year. Rona is a huge advocate for people with disabilities and fighting for SNAP benefits to include prepared and home and unprepared and hot meals. So thank you, Rona. But if you want to know more about FACAB, I'm going to share their impact report and my contact information in the chat box. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Gotta hit that mute button. Thank you, Cynthia. All right, so I am going to turn over the programming now to Jana, who's going to give us a little overview of what we're going to cover tonight and the rest of the programming. So Jana, take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm Jana. Just waiting for the screen sharing so that we can get started. Cool. So once again, I'm Jana. I'm a program assistant with the Food Council. I work with the Environmental Impact Working Group, Racial Equity Committee, and the Policy Committee. So today we'll just be talking about why social media is important to advocacy, what food advocacy is going to look like on social media, and just social media 101, what it's going to look like overall, how we can use social media to connect with and reach hard to reach communities, some added communication tools in addition to social media and to maybe enhance your experience, an example of what that may look like, and we're going to give you all some instructions for getting started.
Thank you so much, Jana. So I'll take it over. And at any time, if you guys have any questions for me or anybody else, feel free to put it in the chat box or raise your hand on the Zoom feature. So to start with, why is social media an important advocacy tool? So I'm going to get in on that on the next slide. So advocacy on social media is important because, for one, it shares important messages with a wide audience. And it's my favorite way of advocacy because I feel like it gives an equal advocacy access to everyone, regardless of age, immigration status, and etc. I feel like it gives a voice to everyone, even those that can't civically engage by voting. And it's with social media that they're still able to communicate their opinions and viewpoints, regardless of those barriers. And they're able to let their elected officials know about the issues they care most about. It also raises awareness of educational resources. And if you're like me, you know that a lot of people rely solely on social media platforms for news, making it a really hot tool for advocacy. And it's through social media platforms that individuals participate in dialogue about social issues, collaborate on change efforts, and establish a sense of community. And even though you feel like you were far away, you're still able to engage in the conversation and help sustain the efforts. And lastly, of course, you are able to engage with elected officials in an easy and efficient manner. And you are able to communicate with politicians, and politicians are able to connect with you, the voters, and their residents. And nowadays, almost all elected officials are on social media. So tagging them and including them in your conversation is very easy to do and very crucial to increasing your brand awareness. Okay, we can go next. And we can't talk about social media advocacy and just communication in general without touching on culturally competent communication and strategies and why that is important. So to start with, culturally competent communication refers to communicating and sharing information with awareness and knowledge of potential disparities and sociocultural factors that impact beliefs and behaviors. And your advocacy strategy must be considerate of these factors. And one way we can address this is through sharing information in multiple languages. For example, at the Food Council, we aim to share our resources in numerous languages, if not at least in Spanish and English. And one of our biggest tools of communication is on our website. And we actually have like a tool that allows our information to be translated into 8 different languages. Because it's important to recognize that if we're advocating for partners or residents to take certain position or actions, the information and action both need to be accessible and understandable across cultural groups. And that's the way we elevate community voices and perspectives and give power back to the people we're advocating for. So just being culturally competent is an essential tool in communication. And go next slide, please. And then, of course, there's several ways. There's a lot of social media platforms nowadays, but in order to connect with and elevate the perspectives of community members that are most affected by the issues we are advocating around, at the Food Council, we leverage social media platforms, our website, email communication, and newsletters to get our advocacy and information and resources to the communities. The most we used, I'll say, is the ones I've listed: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. As you guys know, Facebook continues to be the most used social media platform, and it's good for long or short posts. You can tailor it to your desires. And I've noticed that a lot of organizations, elected officials, tend to have an official Facebook page. And then Twitter is my favorite personally. And it's good for getting your message out quickly. And it has the power to connect with communities through hashtags, and you're able to create threads, potentially increasing your reach. And overall, it's great for quick sharing of messages and finding new opportunities to listen to, engage with, and monitor different newses. And then Instagram, as we know, is growing daily, and it's mainly used with like younger audiences. But again, everyone tends to be on Instagram as well, whether it be organizations or etc. It's really good for visual narratives. So if you're posting a lot of graphics or images of your organizations or you're advocating, it's great for that. And now it's integrated with Facebook, so it's super easy to use. And shameless plug, if you guys don't already, I encourage you to follow us at the Food Council, at the Moko Food Council, or join our mailing list, visit our website if you haven't already. And also let us know your feedback about any of our communications so we can improve them and make them as effective as possible. And for the next slide, I'm going to hand it to Cynthia to just go in depth with our other tools of communication.
Great. So hi guys, tonight I will be covering additional communication tools you can use in addition to social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to help increase online presence. So blog post is an online entry or informal article, which are regularly updated web pages that discuss an array of topics. What is great about blog posts is that the content is listed in reverse chronological order, which makes it easier for your audience to read or look through past posts. Sometimes it is easy for a viewer to get lost in Facebook or Instagram posts since the feed is always changing, and platforms like Twitter limit users to 141 characters. So what's great about blog posts is that you're able to relay news in more detail, and you can also share your blog post links to social media platforms as well. So there are many blog post sites you can use from, but one that we highly recommend is WordPress. So WordPress was originally just solely a blog publishing system. However, you can now use it for web page design. On top of that, you can actually post blog posts on it. The Food Council, we actually use WordPress for our website and our blog posts. And here are a couple examples. And I also linked our website and our blog posts that you can read as well. And the next one we have is electronic newsletters or e-newsletters. And it's basically sent via email, and it informs readers or viewers about the latest news and updates about your organization. E-newsletters can be as simple as a message sent to a list of emails of people who follow your organization. Newsletters can be sent through platforms such as MailChimp and Google Groups. And I will talk more about Google Groups on the next slide. But MailChimp is a platform that allows organizations to create, manage mailing lists, and send campaigns and automatic emails. And just like WordPress, we recommend MailChimp just because it's affordable and easy to use as well. And I linked MailChimp to the example if you guys want to check it out. And below are just a couple examples of, so FRAC, Food Research and Action Center, which I know most of you are very familiar with. They send newsletters every week, and so does the USDA as well. So these are just some examples. Okay, so Google Groups, it's basically a service from Google that provides discussion groups for people with common interests. So you can also send like e-newsletters to Google Groups. So it basically contains a viewer's email, contact information, and from that discussion group, you can send emails, chat requests, and even e-newsletters. So we encourage you all to follow our Google Groups. We have one for food advocacy, access and recovery, economy, and we also have food assistant providers that communicate within our Google Groups. You can feel free to contact me. Here's my contact information if you want to be a part of our Google Groups. And we also feel that Google Groups is something that might be easier for people to use, since Gmail is a common email account that many people use for their organizations. So if you want to create a Google Group, all you have to do is sign into your Gmail and click the square icon, which contains 6 dots. You're going to scroll down, and then you're going to click on this icon, which says Google Groups. You're going to create a group, and the screen will pop up asking for information about the person you want to add in their email. And that's basically it. And if you have any questions about how to set up a Google Group, feel free to contact me, and take it away to Besa, I believe.
Yes, before I get into this slide, I saw a question from Susan, and it said that she realized that a lot of people who speak English languages other than English, they tend to set their internet browser to the language that they use, and that usually does the translation for them. And if there was anyone on the webinar who has an experience with this or agrees, personally, Susan, from my experience, so a lot of websites, like I mentioned, like our website has a tool where you're able to translate the whole website essentially into the language of your choosing, whether it be Spanish, Mandarin, etc. I feel like in cases of websites like that, it's an amazing tool to have, and it's I think definitely widely used, and I feel like it makes it easier. But I still encourage translations to be done in other languages. If you're, for example, you're posting on social media, if you have a graphic and your graphic is in English, usually like translation tools on your browser won't translate that graphic for you. So if you're, like, example, creating a resource sheet and it's all in English, that won't be translated into the other language. So in instances like that, I feel like it's best to have it in as many possible languages as you can. If that answers the question, let me know. And then let me get into tips for communication. So when you're on social media and, like, if you're creating graphics or making a post, I feel like these are just some helpful tips that you should just keep in mind. For example, is just using hashtags and tagging accounts when appropriate. So for example, if you're talking about food insecurity, just make hashtagging that so you know you're interacting with people that are also utilizing that hashtag, and just tagging accounts, whether that be, like, for example, No Kid Hungry, Maryland Hunger Solutions, just partners that are also working in that realm. I feel like helps you reach people and helps you gain their audiences as your audience too, potentially. And then next is just using colors, fonts, and images that are easily readable. You don't want it to be too small, too bright, too little, too big. So just making sure, like, it's accessible and it's very friendly, user friendly, and make sure your language is very inclusive as well. make sure, again, since especially when you're advocating in food security or issues, social issues like that, making sure you use inclusive language is very important. And then my other tip is also use images with your posts. I feel like a lot of people, their eyes tend to wander. So if you have like a long text, so just making sure you're using an image when possible, whether it be pictures of your advocacy work or just graphics rather than like a large paragraph. Images tend to do well, and I personally notice it with our personal posts too on the Food Council. And then another great thing that's might be harder, but is also great, is utilizing videos when available. Another great way to, again, increase your brand awareness, increase your reach, and yeah. And then if you're sending out newsletters to your organizations or groups, make sure that your subject lines are effective, like when they're short, like they're mostly effective when they're short and to the point and people are able to open it. For instances, I know that when there is like a specific date, time, and name of an event, people are more likely to open it. And if they're searching for it in their email, they're quickly able to find like Wednesday, April 19th, and it can like quickly come up on their email. So that's great. And then also just test different subject lines and see what works best. And I'll talk later on about like analytics and how to do that, but just test different things and see what works and see what doesn't. And if you go to the next slide, I'm going to show you guys just an example of what I mean by an effective social media post example. I know this is like small to see because it's on a PowerPoint, but this is a screenshot I took directly from the Food Council's Instagram, and you guys can, it's live on there. It's from a while back, so you can find it. But this was just an action alert we put out in support of a House bill that was we were trying to pass at that time. So we have a clear action, we have a date, and we have image, and we have tagged the elected officials that are pushing for this bill. So it's just another great way to show, instead of just posting just a paragraph, just something to grab somebody, a reader's attention. It has color, it's very just to the point, and yeah. So an example, yes. Did you say something, Elizabeth?
Lisa, I was just going to hop in and ask a couple questions reflecting some of what's going on in the chat. But if you were an alien from outer space and you didn't know what tagging was or what it did, could you just go in a little bit more into how that sort of loops folks in, and what are some good tactics for deciding what tags to use?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so firstly, when I'm saying tagging is essentially just including a person or an organization, their account on your posts. So for example, on this post that I pulled up, we have included Delegate Lori Charkoudian in our post. We have included her account, aka tagged her in this account. What this does is it allows her to potentially see this post, and it also appears on like when people are looking at your post, and they're able to click on her account and see what she supports, what she advocates for, and then that way you're also linking your audience to a different resource and introducing them to like an elected official if they didn't know who that was. So that's a great way to introduce tagging. And then also, if you're not sure, like we're gonna share later on accounts to follow. So you know exactly like who to tag for what issue. So certain accounts are good for like food security. Like I said, like Maryland Hunger Solution is a good one because they're always advocating for food security, FRAC, and the list goes on, but we'll dive into that a little bit later on. But just tagging is just making sure you're including the appropriate accounts to reach their audience. Yeah.
We have a couple more questions here. Maybe we get to, if you feel like you're going to cover this later on, feel free to continue. But there was a question about whether we should reach out and friend our legislators on Facebook. So decisions about who to reach out to in social media on that platform. Do you have any sense of how broad a net to cast there?
So was the question, should we befriend our elected officials on social media? Great question. I feel like most of the time, especially on, well, we can break it up. So like on Facebook, when an elected official has a Facebook page, you're able to follow them. Well, I guess that applies on all social media, but on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, you're able to follow them. So that way you're kind of quote unquote befriending them. So it's not going to be like a personal page where they add you to their friend group and etc. But it's just a way for you to follow them and see what they're posting, what they're sharing. So definitely encourage you to follow your elected officials on any platform that you can. A great quick way to learn about what's going on and what they're advocating for.
One more question again, if you're going to get to this later, feel free to continue on with your presentation, but if you could explain the difference between the hashtag and tagging somebody in your social media posts.
Great question. So a hashtag on social media is essentially a way to reach a certain community within the key phrases you're using. So for example, the example I used was hashtag food security. So if I was to do that on Twitter, let's say, it kind of creates a hyperlink for that hashtag, AKA the food security word, the keyword we used, and you're able to click on that food security hashtag and you're able to see everybody else that is tweeting under that hashtag to see what's happening. So for instance, for the example I have on the screen, if you were able to do like hashtag Maryland House Bill 0831, and you can click on that and you're able to see what everybody is saying about that bill and connect with communities that are thinking the same thing as you, like-minded people. And if that's not clear enough, I can also share it my screen and show you guys later on how to do it on Twitter and etc. Because I know I'm a visual learner and it's easier to see visuals than me explaining it.
Thank you, Besa. I think we're caught up on the questions, so please proceed.
Okay, perfect. We can advance to the next slide. I feel like analytics and data is very important when you're on social media, if you have capacity to do so. So if your organization has a website, most likely you're able to go to Google Analytics following that link on the slide, and automatically your website, it will give you like how many people have came to your website, what part of your website they go to, how many visitors visit a certain page, how long they stay on that page, and information like that. You can use it to keep doing what you're doing on your website or change some things up. So it allows you to see what's working and what's not. And that applies same with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any social media. We'll share this with you guys, but the instructions for each social media are on there and how to get to your analytics, but you're able to go per post. You're able to see how well your post performed, meaning how many people liked that, how many people engaged in it, how many people commented. You're able to see the numbers for that. And sometimes some posts do well and some not. So you're able to see, when I posted something with an image, it did very well compared to when I put a lot of text, it didn't do very well. So you're able to compare your data and metrics across 2 or more posts and see what's working, what's not. And a tip I have is if you're going to change something for future posts, just change one thing at a time and see if that's if that changes your data at all. So for examples, change just like the font you're using, or adding a bigger text, or whatever it may be that you're posting. Just change one thing at a time and see how that affects it. And then another thing is the time and day you post actually might also have effect on your engagement and your analytics. So I know sometimes if you're posting early in the morning, it might do well, or in the afternoon. So just playing around with what works and finding the best thing for your organization is pretty crucial. And we can go to the next slide, please. And then speaking of engagement, engagement basically means how you're interacting with other people's accounts and how other people are interacting with your accounts. So whether that be people are commenting on your post, they're resharing your post, or you're doing vice versa on their account. So I just have some screenshots on here from how the Food Council engages on social media. So for instance, on the first image on the left, we have a Facebook post from FRAC, the Food Research and Action Center, and essentially they were saying, raise your hand with FRAC and let Congress know that providing healthy school meals for all at no charge should continue beyond the school year. And that's definitely something we believe in and we support here at the Food Council. So just a simple, I reshared that post and just put a raising hand emoji, just to show like in a friendly way that we are in support of this and our followers know that we support this. It's just a simple and easy way to engage with your followers or your organizations that you follow. And the next example is just the same thing, but on Twitter, where there was an article that was posted by one of our chairs, board chairs, and also the director of Maryland Hunger Solutions. And I just like reshared his quote from the article, so people again know we're in support of what the article is saying, and they know where we stand on that. So that's just simple ways you can also engage on social media.
Okay, so we have another question in the chat about translation on the various platforms, specifically Twitter. Yeah, I've been showing examples in English, but do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, how do you handle translation on Twitter? So on Twitter, whenever we try to post things, like there was a time where we did like resources on food security. So like each week we would focus on one resource, whether it be like manna or so on. So what we would do is we would have whatever graphic we created in English, we would just translate it to Spanish ourselves, since again, like Twitter is not really reliable with like automatic translations with like within the browser. So if you have the capacity to have somebody that's like Spanish speaking to translate for you, that's what we do. That's how we go about it. I don't know if that answers your question, Lisa. If not, let me know and I can clarify. But in short, we translated ourselves and posted instead of relying on a third party. And I think the next slide is Cynthia, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so this slide includes basically organizations related to food systems that you guys can follow that I feel, might be helpful to your advocacy or just finding inspiration for social media posts and even following or retweeting their social media as well. So the first few organizations listed here, and just to let you know that these are all linked, so we will share this after the presentation. So Maryland Hunger Solutions is a really big organization here in Maryland that deals with like food insecurity and advocacy with like SNAP. And then we also have the Food Research and Action Center, FRAC, and USDA, FNS. They provide a lot of information and policies related at the federal level, and they also share their weekly e-newsletters. And then we also provided links for like the Maryland General Assembly, Montgomery County council members, which also links to their social media handles. And these other two links, the U.S. House Representative and your U.S. Senator, you can look up your federal representative and the zip code and state that you are currently living in. However, I know that there are federal representatives who focus solely on specific topics like food insecurity or SNAP and WIC or even housing, and you might want to find their information here. So that's a really great tool to use. And then this other organizations to follow is basically a comprehensive list that the Food Council put together of organizations who deal with food systems, housing, food insecurity, and food advocacy, which is also linked, which we'll share with you after the presentation. I'm sorry, I think we have Jana. Who's next?
I think we are going to go now to Beza. We're going to put a document in the chat box that we are going to use in the next part of our presentation, which will be really hands-on how to create some of these wonderful graphics and posts that we've been showing you. Cynthia, could you give Beza co-host access at some point so that she can also, oh, it's Jana, I'm sorry, is this Jana? Go ahead, Jana, my apologies.
No, you were right, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, give me a second, everyone. So I'm gonna put in the chat box a link to a document everybody should have access to now. Give me a second. Okay, so if you guys click on that link, it's gonna take you to this social media language and graphics. So essentially we just put a little, I guess like hands-on activity you guys are able to put into practice from whatever we've just been saying. So this is mainly based on SNAP for this exercise. So we have sample language you guys can choose from. You're able to tweak it however you would like. We have included like hashtags, like how we were saying earlier. We have accounts we've tagged. So feel free to read through and use whatever you would like to just like straight post this onto like a Twitter, Instagram, maybe not Instagram, but Twitter or Facebook. And if you want to be fancy and also create a graphic for it or practice just right now how to create a graphic while I'm here so I can give you guys pointers, that'd be great too. So the tool I'm going to be showing you guys today is Canva. It's just at canva.com. So you guys can start by clicking on the link that's here. So if you click on that link, it takes you to this page right here. And when you first go to Canva, it might ask you to create an account. And all these instructions are linked on this file as well. You can either make an account, or if you have a Gmail account, just connect your Gmail account. It's pretty easy, and there's a free version, so you don't have to pay for anything. So again, when you click on this link, it takes you to this page, and these are just example graphics that you guys are able to utilize. But before you start typing on this page, what you want to do is press file. Again, all these instructions are on the document. You can press file and make a copy, and then allow the pop-up to take place. So once you do that, it's going to create a new copy. So it's very important that you guys create your own copy, because if not, everybody's going to be working on top of each other's file and writing over each other's graphics. So make sure to press make a copy. And once you make a copy, you're able to copy and paste from this document, whatever information you like into this. So if you want to put like the title in here, you can put whatever title you want, any information you would like here. If you want to delete some things, you can press delete, take it out. Feel free to replace this with your organization, website or handles, or delete it if you don't think it applies. And then same with the second one. So if you click on the second one, it will take you to this one. This is just an example for if you were hosting an event, you're able to use this graphic again. Make sure to make a copy and be creative. Again, let me know if you guys have any questions, because I know sometimes asking questions and seeing it visually is easier, but yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. But as of right now, you're able to go into this document I put in the chat and explore and get creative, and also be here to answer any questions.
Well, it looks like we're having issues with the with access to the file. Beza, do you want to just walk people through, once they have created a design in Canva, how they actually go through the process of getting that into social media, just the process of either downloading or clipping the material? And while you're doing that, I will work to give folks access to the document. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. So let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay, so let's say this is your final product of your design, and you did all the creative things you could possibly do, and you want to save this into your computer to share to social media. The first thing you want to do is press download, this download button right here. And when you press that button, it's going to ask you the file type you want. Whatever type that's pre-selected is fine, whether it's JPEG or PNG, that's completely fine. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to download all 3 pages? Or do you want to just select a page? So since there's 3 pages, that's why it's asking. So personally, if you want to do the first one, you will click on here and make sure only the first page is selected. And then once you do that, you press done and you press download. And then once you've done that, it's going to be saved onto your own personal computer. So here is mine. So once you have that, you just open your whatever preferred social media you want, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, and just press the post button, choose your image that you would like, and proceed from then. Hopefully that was slow and clear enough. I know I tend to talk fast, so I apologize. But again, if you guys have any clarifying questions, let me know. And yeah, I see some folks on this document, so I'm assuming we got the accessibility issue solved, Elizabeth.
No, the issue is that we're giving them access to our Canva account. Yeah, so they're getting in there. Is there a way that we can share? I'm trying to get their email addresses in there to share the file with everyone. So it might take me a second.
Oh.
1 second, folks. All right, what you should see is an email to the account that you registered with. Hopefully this will work.
Yeah, you can use form a team feature on Canva if you're like using it for your organization and you have a lot of people working on it at once. If you're asking specifically for today, technically we can use it, but it is a lot of people from a different organization, so you might not know who's doing what, or for saving purposes, might be better to individually practice for today and then apply that for your organization later on.
Sorry, folks, I'm having to enter each person individually, so it's just going to take a second for me to do this. Okay, so if you can think of any other ways to allow folks to share, or if you want to, in the meantime, walk people through just starting from scratch using some of the stock photos and things while I get this working.
Yeah, sure. Has anybody are you guys able to log in and create an account? I'm assuming there are folks that are on that step right now, or are we having issues with creating an account as well? Okay. Give me 1 second.
Just to clarify, at least in my case, I can't even get to the create an account part unless I'm doing something wrong. I'm not able to click on the link that you've provided. So I think that's why she's providing access. So is there another way I should be going about trying to create an account? Just Google on canva.com and try to open an account that way?
Okay, yes, let me put the link in. Yeah, so if you go here, yeah, you're able to click on that and it will ask you to log in. And then you can use your Gmail account and then it will open up Canva. And then once we're there, then I guess I can share my screen and go through step by step. That is weird though. It's asking you guys, you're not able to see the pre-created links.
Yeah, the language is something like you don't have permission to see this design or something. So I think, and then it allows you to request access, right?
Okay, let's see.
Hopefully you should all have received an email now that will allow you to open that in Canva and give you permission. You might still have the issue of having to set up the account, but it should be there.
And then also try clicking on the link I just sent. Like that should also work. And then again, just remembering to press file and make a copy so you can make your edits.
Has anyone been able to get in yet?
So I think I just opened it, but I'm toggling between trying to follow what you're saying and doing and the actual screen. So what I'm looking at now, I'm not looking at your screen. I'm looking at the design. It looks like it came up in Canva. And then you said something about file, but I don't see that.
I believe the steps with the file are not necessary because now that image is directly in your account. You're not, I think the consideration before was that you were trying to give you access to our account, in which case it would have
Oh, I see.
it would have had a number of people in one account messing around with the same images, but you should have your own copy now in your own account and can start editing as you wish.
Oh, actually, I think it'd be best if everybody made their own copy because I see like folks are on the same file. I see your names popping up. Who's sharing the screen right now? Sorry.
Dana.
Okay, Jana, do you want to show them how to go to file, make a copy real quick?
Yeah, can do. One sec, let me get out of the thing. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna click file in the top left corner, make a copy. And there you got it.
Yeah, and then once that page opens up, you're able to type on that and without anybody else also typing on that same document.
Yeah.
And you're able to move around, yeah. Delete.
So once we have some sort of image, I guess the question I have is now what? How do I post it?
Okay, so I can walk you through it while Jana.
Not
Okay.
through Canva, just let's say I had a picture in my in my files that would be a good background. Like, what do I do next?
Oh, so you're asking how to add the image you already have onto Canva?
No.
If I have an image, I want it to be able to like put some text on the image and then post it in some sort of social media. But I only know how to put a picture without text on it.
So this is
Okay.
one of the, oh, sorry. I was
Yeah,
going to say,
go
this
ahead.
is one of the great things about Canva in that you are actually able to upload photos. And if you have a screen capture, I have a PC and it has the Windows Shift S, and you can capture any picture and actually just copy it right into Canva. We'll take that image and then allow you to put text boxes on top. Then you can do the same process again by doing a screen capture of what's in Canva, or you can download the actual file. But I find these days with the way our devices all work well together, screen capture, copy and paste, and you can drop it right into social media posts. The image that you had just worked on with all of your text and everything. Beza, did I get that right? I've learned everything I know about Canva from Beza, so let me know if that's true. Oops, you're on mute.
Yeah, so if you want to go ahead and try what Elizabeth just said, let me know if it works for you. Or I can also show you another way. So if you want to go to Jana, if you want to just hover over, you don't have to click, but you can hover upload on the left corner of Canva. There, right there. So if you folks press upload, then you can press upload media. And that way you can also choose a pre-saved picture from your computer and put it onto the text and type that way with all the instruction Elizabeth has stated. If you don't want to go through the copy and paste route as well.
We will go through these instructions again. As I said before, we do plan on sending out follow-ups to this event where we will provide you with some step-by-step ways to navigate through Canva, transferring of these graphics to various platforms. We'll go through that process as well. If you're trying things out in the meantime, you have run into snags, by all means, contact us. We're here to help you through all of this. I am someone, and I noticed in the chat box, someone mentioned sort of feelings about social media, and then sort of the way Facebook, you know, is not always everyone's favorite form of communication. And I think what we've learned tonight is that while these are used for personal reasons, they really are a fantastic tool to reach out to so many people and organizations and elected officials. So if you have feelings about social media, I do recommend viewing it really as a tool and an agent for communication and the community, because it is the way we communicate these days. As Beza said so often, it is the way people find their news and information. I am of the generation that did not grow up with social media, so I do feel like sometimes there's some trepidation there, but it really is amazing the reach that you have. And so we just kind of got to jump right in and play around. The fear I have often too, right, is that you put something out and it's like, how do you get it back? So there's always that fear of pressing that button. But the more you play with it, the more you engage, the more you see how your voice can reach so many. I think the more you will gain comfort and start seeing real results with your messaging and reaching the community at large. Is there anything that my colleagues wanted to add before we sort of wrap things up here? We do have just a few minutes, and I know it's been a long day probably for everyone. Beza, Cynthia, Jana, any last words? No?
No, I just want to say thank you guys. And I know we didn't get that much time to spend on working on the Canvas. So if you guys at any point have any personal questions, I can feel free to literally set up a Zoom with you and go through this, because I promise it's so easy and it won't even take that long. So just shoot me an email and I'll put my contact in there as well.
Thank you, Beza. That is why we are here, to help you all in your work. So please reach out to us with any and all questions you have. We wanted to thank you for joining us tonight. I wanted to put in a special plug for our next virtual training, which shows up on December 14th. It will be a training on the intersection of housing and food insecurity, where we are going to be arming you with resources and information to help those in our community who are facing housing crises. So I will put the registration information in the follow-up email to this training, and we hope to see you there. Again, that will be on December 14th at 11 a.m. And the last thing we asked of all of you, if you wouldn't mind, we're going to launch a brief poll. This is our regular evaluation survey. We are here to serve you. We want to hear your honest feedback. We do these programs at various points in time through the year. So we build on these experiences and have some learning to do tonight about getting access to Canva for everyone, but we would love to hear your impressions. So I hope, can people see that survey? I can't see it because I launched it, but hopefully you all can.
Yeah, we can.
Good. Okay. So that is our program for tonight. As you finish up the survey, feel free to stick around if you have questions. We will be here, but otherwise, we wanted to thank you for joining us as always, and we hope to see you at a future Food Council event. Thanks, everyone.